faith alone and grace alone. We have wonderful accounts of these Bible believers, such as John Paul Perrin's book on the Vaudois, and Peter Alex, and many others. It is wonderful to see the faith of these men and women, and to know that they stood strongly. The Piedmont Valley, this was one of the valleys that was overrun at different times by the troops that were sent out to slaughter and massacre the believers in these valleys. That's where they got the name from, Vaudois, from the name valley. The valley people in northern Italy and in southern France.
Thus began the development of a structured method of dealing with heresy and heretics wherever it might be found. Councils of bishops and archbishops, acting under the authority of the Pope, became known as the Holy Office of Inquisition into heretical wickedness. The method that Innocent III began was continued by successive popes as they devised more horrific means and methods to try and suppress those who disagreed with the Roman Catholic Church.
Innocent IV was the one who brought in the actual details of how torture was to be done. It was a pope who devised these tortures, and it was going to be 75 popes in a row that added to these different types of tortures.
Several reputable historians have commented on the Roman Catholic atrocities during the Inquisition, and even the Roman Catholic historians speak about the horrors of the Inquisition. Men like Peter de Rosa.
Peter de Rosa wrote a book, the Vicars of Christ book. The Dark Side of the Papacy was the other title for it, and it speaks of the Pope's presumed primacy reigning over all the Church and the arrogance of papal power. And I quote from it: "John Paul presents the papacy as the champion of truth and the rights of man. He takes it for granted that popes have never contradicted one another on essentials or deviated from gospel truth. History explodes the myth of a papacy lily-white in the matter of truth. In an age of barbarism, the popes led the pack. In an age of enlightenment, they trailed the field. And their record was worst when, contrary to the gospel, they tried to impose their truth by force." And Peter de Rosa, in a separate part of the book, also wrote of the atrocities of the torture machine that you just mentioned of the Roman Catholic Church. He writes, "The record of the Inquisition would be embarrassing for any organization. For the Catholic Church, it is devastating. Today, it prides itself, and with much justification, on being the defender of natural law and the rights of man. The papacy in particular likes to see itself as the champion of morality. What history shows, however, is that for more than these 6 centuries, without a break, the papacy was the sworn enemy of elementary justice. 80 popes in a line from the 13th century on, not one of them among them disapproved of the theology and apparatus of the Inquisition. On the contrary, one after another, each added his own cruel touches to the working of this deadly machine." That closes the quote from Peter de Rosa's book. Just to say that the papacy has shockingly fulfilled that image from Revelation 17 of the woman who's blood-drenched from 6 centuries of her murderous rampage. In the Bible, the Holy Spirit foretold her lust for power and for blood, and history has recorded some of the gruesome details of that. And the second Roman Catholic historian that I can quote from is Lord Acton, who's made famous for his observation with the Mother Roman Catholic Church firmly in mind, that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And he says about the Inquisition that the Inquisition is peculiarly the weapon and peculiarly the work of the popes. It stands out from all those things in which they cooperated, followed or assented as the distinctive feature of papal Rome. It was set up, renewed and perfected by a long series of acts emanating from the supreme authority of the Church. No other institution, no doctrine, no teaching, no ceremony is so distinctly the individual creation of the papacy, except the dispensing power. It's the principal thing with which the papacy is identified and by which it must be judged. The principle of the Inquisition is the Pope's sovereign power over life and death. Whoever disobeys him should be tried and tortured and burnt. If that cannot be done, formalities may be dispensed with and the culprit may be killed like an outlaw. That is to say, the principle of the Inquisition is murderous, and a man's opinion of the papacy is regulated and determined by his opinion of religious assassination. So did the English Lord Acton, Roman Catholic, write.
The Roman Catholic Church was not satisfied to put the heretics to death in a humane manner. They continued to devise more horrific tortures in their attempt to make the so-called heretics renounce their faith and accept Roman Catholicism. Things like the Judas chair.
The Judas chair was used in the Spanish Inquisition in particular. It was a pyramid-type seat. The victim was lowered down on this seat so that the pointed end of the
Pyramid.
Judas seat, which was this pyramid, penetrated the orifices of both male and females so that they suffered excruciating pain, and there was hope that they would renounce their biblical faith and proclaim their faith in Holy Mother Church. This is just one example.
Other Bible believers were burned at the stake. Burning at the stake was often carried out in front of a large crowd in an auto-da-fe, an occasion of dramatic pomp and festivity.
Those who were burnt at the stake were very often those, of course, who were called heretics, whose faith and biblical convictions carried the most threat to the papacy. And it was almost as if the Roman Church believed that by burning them, both their bodies and their beliefs would disappear into the cinders together. And in England, at the time of the English Reformation in the 16th century and during the reign of Mary Tudor, the eldest daughter of Henry VIII, who became known as Bloody Mary, she was a fervent Catholic, beholden to the Pope, who admitted who brought in the Inquisition to cause the martyrdom of some 288 Protestant martyrs in England. Most of them died because they denied the real presence being Catholic dogma or doctrine or teaching, that Jesus Christ is really present, body, soul, divinity and humanity in the sacrament. The burning back-to-back of Bishops Latimer and Ridley, which took place in Oxford outside Balliol College in 1555, is still well known to many people, as are Latimer's stirring last words, which were an inspiration for centuries to Bible-believing Christians in the English-speaking world mainly. And his words were, "Be of good comfort, Master Ridley, and play the man. We shall this day, by God's grace,